Ha! I'm beautiful! Hello there. This is Danny Mohi, the creator of two characters that are overextensions of different parts of my personality. One of them represents like three traits. One's Swag Master Swag. I'm going to call out to my dog now. Come on, Gus! Cool. And the other one is Jack Kiddo. Anyway, this video is called The Attitude Era. It's the first one of another list of stuff I'm going to be doing. The Attitude Era versus the Ruthless Aggression Era. Okay. In this recording, we're going to be talking about The Rock versus Randy Orton. Their similarities, their differences, where one was better than the other, where they were better than each other at, and where they were lesser than each other at, in my opinion. And would The Rock character succeed in today's WWE climate? And would Dwayne The Rock Johnson as a person succeed in today's climate? Because the character is a part of them, but they're also very intelligent people. So, what do they have in common? When you really think about it, you look past the F. In my opinion, you look past the ethnicity, and you look past the the outward appearance. They have a lot in common. They were both cocky and arrogant heels. However, they were in different time periods. They both were third generation superstars. They both were not afraid to speak out. Okay. They both had their faction alliances. You see, The Rock had the Nation of Domination. He left the Nation of Domination to the corporate ministry. You see, Randy Orton, he had Evolution, who had also had the backing of the then Raw General Manager, Eric Bischoff. The corporate ministry was run by the McMahons, so The Rock had their support. So these are the commonalities. Now, obviously, The Rock is a very entertaining person. However, I do prefer Randy Orton. You see, I can see how The Rock's one of his real strengths is he can be really much more relatable to the Polynesian audiences. And I am 1/4 Māori, and Māori is a part of the Polynesian race. So I've got like half of my cousins are like half Māori or a bit more, and the other half aren't. And a lot of my relatives from my Māori side have also intermarried with Samoans and Tongans. So that's where they got, all that. My father's half Māori, half European descent, mainly of English and Scottish descent. And he married and had children with my mum, who was also, she was, as far as I know, full European. But you never know if you go back far enough. But she's mainly Scottish and Welsh. But we're born and raised in New Zealand. I'm like, Māoris were here when the British came here 200 years ago and colonised this country. Anyway, The Rock is, when they say like, oh, remember the wrestling stuff when we were a kid? We would talk about our favourites every now and then, hardly ever, but every now and then, and their favourite was always The Rock. So he's definitely a person that's relative character that's relatable to that audience. Randy Orton I found to be more relatable, just as a demeanour and character. I haven't come from a wealthy family, but I've never had to worry about having a house or food or clothes on my back, that's for sure. And I just see The Rock, he left the Nation of Domination. He was around in the time where in the Attitude Era where it was cool to be a bully or cool to push others around. Nowadays, if they did that nowadays or in the Ruthless Aggression era, those type of people got booed. Take for example Triple H. And I look back and I like that character as a heel. He fulfilled his role really well as a heel. However, Randy Orton was aligned with Triple H and had the support of a heel general manager by the name of Eric Bischoff. And then we had the Ric Flair and Batista of the time, the Evolution. What made the crowd love Randy Orton for a while was the fact that Evolution turned on him, and it took him years to finally get a pinfall or any victory of all over Triple H after that happened. So the crowd became to love Randy Orton. I came to love him because he got booted out and mistreated and everything. He stood his ground, and when he stood his ground, it took a few years before he had another opportunity to beat Triple H, because he lost the match, and I think they had a rematch too, when he lost the title after winning it off Chris Benoit, and then after that, you just didn't hear him much at all. And then by the time we got to like 2009, this is from my memory, from about 2008-9, they started having matches again. First time since like 2004. And it took him matches to win. So at that time I loved Randy Orton. What got the crowd against Randy Orton was, one, the forming of legacy. He went back to that Viper, all that type of thing. Also, the fact, in my opinion, what got me in favour of Triple H for a little while after that, and then appreciating both characters, getting to that point there, was the fact that yes, he had been through what he had his mates turn on him, and yes, he lost a couple of matches to them and he didn't get to face them for another 5 years, and then he lost a few more. But then once he got like a handful of victories over Triple H, the character wanted to keep going on. As for me, like if someone beat me in a sport twice after betraying me and booting me out the team and all that type of thing, and then we didn't play each other for another 4 years, and then we played each other in a test series and they maybe won the test series, but I won 1 game out of 3, and so we'd played 4 out of 5. By the time we'd played 9 games, had a test series the next year, if I had won 2 or 3, then I would have found it in my heart to not keep fighting them, but to say like I had the final say and just carry on. At least I got them a few times, and so I would be finding my heart to forgive. As for what made Randy Orton's character heel, it just went on for years, and then they didn't see each other for another 10 years. And I was happy to see him. I was happy to see the both of them get together as, wasn't as a personal rivalry, but in real life they would be friends, but it was good to see it in a much more friendly, let's see who's the best man, no hatred between us anymore situation in WWE programming. Yeah. And as for, so Randy Orton was booed most of the time. because he was around in the Ruthless Aggression era. However, when The Rock was around in the Attitude Era, so he was displaying all these same attitudes and cocky and arrogant and very narcissistic, and everyone loved him for it because that was the time period that he was in. If Randy Orton was being the way he was in the Attitude Era, people would have loved him. He, if he just did exactly what he was doing, there was he's got the vibrance of a one billy gun, like I'm so a bit of a Valvinus, but he's also got the ruthless streak and the star quality of someone like The Rock and Stone Cold. But he was around in the Ruthless Aggression era where the crowd booed people like that, or the crowd booed the well-to-do superstars. Started cheering for people who they could relate to rather than people who were superheroes, in my opinion. As for the Rock, he was around in the Attitude Era and he was doing it and everyone loved it, and he solidified his spot as the face of the company when he hit the biggest heel of the time, Vince McMahon, in the head with a steel chair. That is the reasons why the crowd came to love The Rock, and he became the hero of the company, whilst Randy Orton became the heel of the company, alongside alongside Triple H, the heel of the company. So these are the differences and the similarities between Randy Orton and The Rock. And again, I say, because I'm an adult looking back, I'm not a teenager now who's heavily influenced by others. Like, you think you're not influenced, but then you look back as an adult in his 20s and now or a bit older, you realise that you were. And so ever since my mid-20s, I've always viewed Randy Orton as the better character, in my opinion. But so the Rock had the rock bottom and the spine buster. It would be that would probably be a little bit more applicable to real life than an RKO. But the RKO looks cool. They both look cool. That one where Orton grabs is that comeback maneuver. Orton's got my favourite Orton does my favourite comeback move, that power slam, as well as the when you grab the opponent by. Hey bro, how's things? Oh, that's the one. You having a good day? Yeah, bro. Yeah, you too. And old Randy Orton would grab the neck, and go down on his knees and go crunch, and that would be it. Those two moves are my favourite comeback moves. Setting up to make a comeback. Hello, how are you today? Yeah, good, thank you. Just getting out, getting a bit active.
Good, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
This is not a foot drive.
Yeah, I reckon. And sorry, that last question: would the Rock character be successful in today's times? No. Would Dwayne The Rock Johnson as a person be successful in today's times? Absolutely. If he was born in a different time period and he was trained up in a different time period, same family, all that type of thing, he would have had the intelligence to come up with a character that reflected himself and reflected what he was doing and reflected the times that we were in. He would have adapted. He would have adapted and succeeded, and he would have become WWE champion. At least 3 or 4 times. But he's like a 7-time champion. So that's my opinion. That is my first ever Attitude Era versus Ruthless Aggression Era video recording. And don't forget to remain victorious. Hey.